I think reducing the soul or wounding the soul is a problem that you have no quick solution because of lack of trust and lack of realistic. Take for example, when the church is searching for a rector, the profile they put up there. They put there a profile, and when you read it, it's as if the entire church community is together. And they tell you, what they're doing, the outreach and what have you. And then they say, we're looking for a priest that will do this and that. And then the priest also puts another profile that is so purposive, this is an angel from heaven, and says, I'm the right person to do the job. So when you read in the congregation, they pull out and they sit, they remote control, and they want you to do what they say in the confab. And so you find yourself wounded, and you're tired, you're complaining, you're not happy, they're giving you a paycheck, yes, but you are not really there. And so when we talk about the wounded spirit, they really pierce your spirit every day because they are not very realistic in what they say, and they are not helpful in the ministry. And so you remain there and you cry. Where you find courage is when I attend these kind of conferences. At least I have a way of pouring out what wounds me to the clergy that we share the common problem. And when I hear others sharing, I said, oh, I'm not alone. At least there's somebody else who is in the same boat with me. So I don't know how this problem is going to be solved. I don't know when the parishes will be very realistic. And I don't know when we'll tell them the truth. I can't do it.
And no matter what our context is or our location is, there's shadow to every location, and there's gifts and curses to almost every location. So again, where we started yesterday is the care of our own souls, and the ability and strength in not to co-opt in our identity. I learned a long time ago that my identity, I can't take credit when my parish is doing really well. Because if I jump on that wagon and my identity becomes that, then guess what happens when the tide goes out? And it is going to go out. I mean, congregational life is cyclical. So when the tide goes back out, if I put my identity on that wagon, then guess what happens to me? I have to wear the identity of the hard times. So again, back to that process of separating out subjects from objects. And especially priesthood is rooted and grounded in I amness in a different place, not the external objects that float all around and forever changing.
Can you share a little bit about your congregation's journey with each type of ministry, and what does it look like day to day with the coffee shop?
Well, of course, Sunday Mass and worship is the center of what we are. And I think that's our identity is based in that. But as far as daily ministry, that I walk the streets, I talk to people, I'm available. We encourage artists, thinkers, young activists. For example, we have a kind of an art show and local musician kind of jam session weekend after next, and it's to raise money for women who've been victimized. And the young people do that. They made the poster. They got the bands up together. They found the artists. And they're in and out. A lot of them don't show up at Mass on Sundays, but they're very much a part of this kind of community. First time that my bishop came to Christ the King. I think we spent, 2 or 3 hours just walking from store to store, or restaurant to restaurant, and having an exchange.
Bar to bar.
Pardon me? Bar to bar. Having an exchange with the employees and the workers, and having this sense of community. And thankfully, what I said yesterday about when we look out the windows, that the concept to our congregation is that the parish is not what's behind these, or in these 4 walls. We look out the windows and we say, that's our parish. And they bought into that enough to not expect me to be right there by the phone, at a desk, 8 hours a day. They now buy into the fact that it's better for me to be, it's almost more of an old parish priest kind of model.
That's right.
But that's kind of how it looks.
Spell for us, if you would, the last name of the translator of Hafiz.
Daniel Ladinsky, and I'll be happy to tell you a little story. I was sharing that earlier. I did a workshop on Sufi poetry in our parish for a Lenten season, and a lot of people fell in love with Daniel Ladinsky's translations. And so we decided we were going to bring him in. And so we started emailing him and writing him, and he just would say, I don't go out and do workshops, and we just would not give it up. And we finally talked him into coming, and I picked him up at the airport, and I realized why he did not do poetry readings. He cannot speak. And we laid out lots of money to get him here at this point, and I thought, good Lord, he has a very severe stuttering problem. And one of the most severe I've ever seen. And I thought somewhere in the correspondence that he could have let us know that that's the reason he does not go out and do workshops. That he was there. And I was very concerned. And the first night, we had a big crowd, a lot of folk from the university there. And he got up, and everybody had to work through it. But after a while, there was not a dry eye in the house, because even the pauses and where he would have to search for the ability to get the word out became so powerful, and we were all transformed. It was one of those moments where we were born again. And so I do recommend Daniel Ladinsky's translations of sacred poets.
I'm really struck by your comments about suburbia. Because I live in a little suburban house and have a privacy fence in the garage. But I really love it. And I've really gotten to know my neighbors. I love going to Walmart, not because of what it represents, but because of the people that are there. It's the most diverse place that I find in my community. So just learning to love that and give rebirth to those existing structures, because they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and remember our disclaimer that for everything that we said, there's another side of this. So we can say, okay, here's the shadow side of this idea, but there's also lots of gifts there. And for the sake of time, we could not do that. And the idea we filled up with one size does not fit all. You have to be an alchemist of your own spirituality. So what you're doing, that is the context of where you're living. You are reinventing that structure. You're getting to know your neighbors. You can have neighbors over. You can start community activities and events. You've gone to Walmart and redeemed Walmart. I didn't know that was possible. You're seeing, you're painting it. So it's Eckhart that says this is the spiritual task that we have to pierce through and find the Christ that's alive in and with all things. And that spiritual practice is wonderful. And so I honor and applaud that in your context you're doing that. Good. Thank you. It's our time.
What?
Yes, sir.
When we were thinking about the theme for this conference, many of us were thinking about campus ministries and how they're always needing to be reborn and resuscitated or brought back, or because it's that's the nature of the work. But having you here speaking with us about it really brought it home for me that something that we all know, which is more and more of our parishes that have been used to stability and security and clear vision and stuff are now in a new world where the art of resurrection is very much foremost in their mind. And it might be one of the reasons I think we're seeing so much creative interaction between parishes and campus ministers these days, because we have some of that art that's now much more in demand in that parish setting, and so it just struck me, and I wanted to thank you for that. I'm doing a little interim work in a nearby parish now, and I think maybe that's the reason that my bishop has me doing that, because they've been under the oppression for years now of not being able to move forward, because the dream is that we have to have a full-time rector before we can live into our future, because that's all we know. They're never going to have a full-time rector again, maybe, you know. So I think maybe I'm there to help them figure out that there's a way to be reborn, reinvent, and resurrected in a new form, in a new life. It doesn't have to look like some model that's been sort of the habit, you know. So I just wanted to thank you for the way you kind of integrated those things for me.
Thank you very much.
I want to revisit a little bit on the suburban Exodus thing and to think about that a little bit, because what I was hearing is this is fundamentally a call to revolution. And it's not so easy as is touched on. And I think one about the fact of your alchemy and what Eugene Peterson wrote about being in the suburbs and how much he detested the suburbs. And then he started reading Dostoevsky. And he read everything that Dostoevsky wrote. And then he said when he went to the disposable plastic peeled foil back trailer park and talked to somebody, he found that Dostoevsky was living in this trailer, the drama and all that kind of thing. So I think there's an important thing that's happening, but also that these are fundamental reevaluations across the board. And it's really revolutionary language. And I think we have to, because it's kind of easy to take it and say, yeah, I see that this isn't right. And I'm still going to take the blue pill. I'm still going to live in the midst of all this. And I mean, obviously we don't have time to sort of get the edict now, but I think we're holding it up. And also little things that I'm always struck, and it's been a while since I've been in the South, in the land of the SEC, which is my native land, but I'm always struck, particularly in the South, when football comes up, it brings energy into the room that almost nothing else has brought into the room. And it happened a few minutes ago in here when we started to get our little, ooh, well, let's, you know, go on. When are we going to start doing that about the fact that, say, the High in Atlanta has the Louvre, or they had it for 3 years, the De Young in San Francisco has got the Musée d'Orsay. Take that, Atlanta! And when are we going to start getting that passion about beauty and art, and we're bringing it up, because that's a revolution too.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, we got widespread panic.